Everyone remembers Doakes for one thing.
Surprise, motherfucker!
But the real shock isn't that line, it's the fact that he was the only one who saw through Dexter's perfect mask. Not Lundy, not Lagerta, not anyone else, just Doakes. Why him? Why not Lundy, the seasoned FBI profiler with years of experience chasing serial killers? That's the mystery we're breaking down today.
First report from the field had these parts as coming from one body.
Actually, it's two.
Actually, it's two.
Uh-oh.
On paper, it doesn't make sense. Lundy was the seasoned FBI profiler, a man who had stared into the eyes of serial killers for decades. If anyone was going to sniff out Dexter, you'd think it'd be him. And yet, it wasn't. It was Doakes, the soldier, the blunt instrument, the guy who never even wanted Dexter's help in the first place. See, that's the difference. Lundy was a commander. He thought like a strategist, piecing together the big picture, relying on data, forensics, and his team to fill in the blanks. If Dexter came up with a clever theory or a fresh angle, Lundy would nod and think, smart guy, good asset. He saw Dexter as useful. Doakes, on the other hand, saw him as suspicious. Doakes didn't need Dexter to tell stories with bloodstains. He could already see the story. All he needed was the lab to rubber stamp what he already knew. That's why when Dexter suddenly had insights that a forensics geek shouldn't have, Doakes didn't think genius. He thought, something's off. How the hell does this guy know so much? And proximity mattered. Doakes was in Dexter's face every day, watching him move, watching him slip. Remember season 1 when Dexter reenacted the Jeremy Down stabbing? He was practically dancing around with the knife, way too into it. Everyone else thought it was just dedication to the job. Doakes walked in and said,
Swear to Christ, Morgan, after this case, I'm submitting your ass for psychiatric evaluation.
That's not a man guessing. That's a man watching cracks form in a mask. Lundy, for all his brilliance, never got that close. And when he did get a peek, like during that chilling interview where he told Dexter, "You, one of the most careful people I've ever met, made a mistake in a murder case."
Perhaps, but if you then examine the blood trail...
Which we know isn't a blood trail, but projected blood. You're not winning me over here, Morgan.
It was just a flicker. Lundy sensed something, but he didn't live in the suspicion the way Doakes did. And let's not forget, Lundy's judgment got clouded. He was dating Deb. He was relying on Dexter's reports. He was buried under the avalanche of evidence Dexter planted on Doakes. Even when he doubted, he did what strategists do. He looked for evidence, and when evidence pointed at Doakes, that was enough. Doakes, meanwhile, didn't care about neat files or airtight cases. He cared about instincts, and his instincts told him Dexter was a predator. Here's the cruel irony. If Doakes had played it cooler, if he hadn't charged off on his own, Lundy probably would have gotten suspicious eventually. The seeds were there, but Doakes didn't wait for seeds to grow. He went hunting, and that's why he ended up trapped, while Lundy kept playing the long game. So it wasn't that Lundy was blind. He just saw Dexter through the lens of utility. Doakes saw him for what he really was, a shark pretending to be a man.
The fake smile, the donuts. You don't even walk like a normal person, you glide.
Doakes wasn't just another cop at Miami Metro. The guy was basically a human lie detector with a permanent scowl. He came out of a military and special ops background, which means his entire life had been about reading people under pressure. He wasn't the type to get charmed by a fake smile or fooled by someone playing innocent. In fact, if you tried too hard to look calm, that was the first thing Doakes was going to clock as suspicious. Everyone else in the department looked at Dexter and saw this quiet, nerdy lab guy. He was polite, did his job, brought donuts. The kind of person you forget is even in the room, basically office wallpaper. But Doakes, he wasn't buying it for a second. He looked at Dexter and saw something that didn't add up. Dexter wasn't just socially awkward, like everyone kept saying. He was cold, detached, and way too comfortable standing over blood and corpses. See? Soldiers and special ops guys like Doakes are trained to notice the little things, micro expressions, body language, even the way someone breathes in a tense moment. And every time Doakes looked at Dexter, it was like staring at a wolf, pretending to be a sheep. Everyone else bought the act, but Doakes kept thinking, nah, this isn't a quirky lab tech. This is a shark in khakis. And here's where it gets chilling. Doakes wasn't just noticing Dexter, he was recognizing him. Because in some ways, they weren't that different. Doakes had his own dark passenger. It just showed up in bursts of rage, in his military past, and in the fact that he had more on-the-job shootings than anyone else in the department. He knew what it felt like to walk too close to the edge, and that's why he could see past Dexter's mask. By the way, this is literally the first interaction between Doakes and Dexter.
You give me the fucking creeps, you know that, Dexter? Grab a crayon, psycho, and scribble this down. Then get over there already, you fucking weirdo.
He didn't even need 5 minutes. He called him a weirdo, a psycho, a creep, all in one go. Doakes didn't even need evidence at first. He just knew. He had that gut instinct, the same instinct that probably saved his life 100 times overseas. Dexter could be standing there smiling, playing the part of the harmless nerd, and Doakes would just look at him and think, nah, I don't buy it. That's what made Doakes so different from the rest of the cast. He didn't need Dexter to slip up in some dramatic way. His instincts were screaming at him from day one, and once Doakes locked onto a target like that, he never let it go. Early red flags. From the very start, Doakes could tell there was something off about Dexter. The first thing, the guy didn't have an ounce of real emotion. Crime scenes are supposed to get under your skin. Even the most hardened detectives flinch now and then. A clenched jaw, a sigh, maybe a muttered curse at how messed up humanity can get. But Dexter, he'd stroll into a murder scene like he was picking out avocados at Publix. No nerves, no hesitation, not even a blink when standing over a mutilated body. Everyone else at Miami Metro brushed it off. To them, Dexter was just quirky or super focused on his work. But Doakes wasn't buying that for a second. He saw it for what it was, not normal. This wasn't social awkwardness, this was detachment, the kind you only see in people who have done bad things themselves. For Doakes, Dexter's poker face was less cute nerd and more, yep, this guy has 100% killed people before. And then there was Dexter's strange comfort around violence. Most people can stomach it if they have to, but no one enjoys it. Dexter though, he looked energized by it. He'd hover over bodies with this weird fascination, geeking out over blood patterns like they were works of art. Doakes clocked that right away. To him, it was the same vibe he'd picked up from actual killers he'd hunted down, that subtle thrill at the sight of blood. Meanwhile, Dexter's mask of charm worked like magic on everyone else. Donuts in the break room, awkward smiles, fake self-deprecation, it disarmed people. Deb thought he was just her dorky, lovable brother. Masuka was too busy being a creep to notice. Batista saw him as harmless. But Doakes, imagine you're working with a guy who's so calm around corpses, you start wondering if he sleeps in a coffin for fun. That's what Dexter looked like to Doakes. By season 1, Doakes' suspicion was still just a hunch, but the foundation was there. Take episode 4. While the rest of Miami Metro shrugged off Dexter's weirdness, Doakes was already side-eyeing him. By the end of the season, that hunch sharpened. Dexter lied about key details in the ice truck killer case, and Doakes knew it. He couldn't prove anything, but he knew Dexter wasn't telling the full story. And that's the difference between Doakes and everyone else. Every blank expression, every too calm reaction, every forced smile, it all stacked up. From the very beginning, his instincts told him, this guy isn't what he pretends to be.
He's good.
Who?
Morgan. He planned this whole thing. Maria, that psychopath set me up.
Doakes' investigation. Once Doakes' instincts told him something was off about Dexter, he didn't just let it slide, he went full shadow mode. At first, it was subtle. In season 2, episode 2, Waiting to Exhale, Doakes begins tailing Dexter at night, watching where he drives, waiting for the moment he slips. And Dexter feels it. For the first time, he has to put his ritual on pause, because someone is actually close enough to smell the blood. That someone, of course, is Doakes. But Doakes isn't just lurking in the shadows, he's poking holes in Dexter's cover stories too. In season 2, he starts clocking the inconsistencies. Dexter's explanations sound a little too smooth, a little too rehearsed, the kind of thing you only notice when you've been trained to interrogate killers. To Doakes, it's like hearing an alibi with the volume turned up too loud. The more detail Dexter gives, the less it makes sense.
I knew there was something wrong with you. The secrets, the sneaking around.
And then comes one of Doakes' most relentless moves, following Dexter straight into Narcotics Anonymous in Season 2, Episode 5, The Dark Defender. Dexter thinks his "I'm a drug addict" cover is airtight, but Doakes just walks right into the meeting and stares him down. That's Doakes in a nutshell. No hesitation, no politeness, just pressure until the mask cracks. As the season goes on, Doakes starts to connect the disappearances of criminals to Dexter's suspicious absences. By episode 7, That Night a Forest Grew, the theory in his head is fully forming. Dexter isn't just a weirdo with a fascination for blood, he's someone with urges, someone dangerous. He even digs into Dexter's personal habits, and thinking maybe Dexter's a sadist or necrophile. Creepy? Sure. Wrong? Absolutely. But it shows how close he was circling the truth.
You like when women cry? like that? What's your thing, Psycho?
I was just heading to the briefing room.
You got no call to be in there, so flee.
The breaking point. By this point, Doakes had connected enough dots to sketch the outline of a monster. He didn't have hard evidence, nothing that would hold up in a courtroom, but deep down, he knew, and that's what set him apart from everyone else at Miami Metro. Most cops need a confession, a fingerprint, something solid. Doakes just needed his gut, and his gut was screaming, Dexter's a killer. But gut feelings don't fly in the justice system. You can't exactly tell a judge, Your Honor, I think this guy murders people because he gives me the creeps. So Doakes went rogue. He started tailing Dexter at every opportunity, watching him like a hawk, skipping protocol, bending rules, even risking his badge just to dig deeper. That's how certain he was. To everyone else at the station, Dexter was harmless, a donut guy with bad jokes. To Doakes, he was Ted Bundy in a lab coat.
Because why would someone pretend to be an addict if he's not? Unless he's got something a hell of a lot worse to hide.
And the obsession just kept building. Every little move Dexter made became suspicious. If Dexter left for coffee, Doakes wanted to know where. If Dexter cracked a smile, Doakes was wondering what kind of lie it was covering. It wasn't just about proving Dexter guilty anymore. It was about proving to himself he wasn't crazy. Because let's not forget, everyone else thought Doakes was paranoid. They laughed off his suspicions, but Doakes refused to let it go. Then came the moment where instinct met evidence. In Season 2, Episode 8, Morning Comes, Doakes breaks into Dexter's apartment and finds the blood slide box, a neat little collection of trophies from Miami's vanished criminals. In an instant, every suspicion he's ever had solidifies into certainty. Dexter Morgan is a killer. From there, it's only a matter of time before the whole thing explodes. To the rest of Miami Metro, those little glass slides were meaningless, but to Doakes, they were confirmation. He might not have pieced together Dexter's whole vigilante code, but he didn't need to. That neat little collection of blood sealed it. Dexter Morgan wasn't just off, he was dangerous.
Your past was a bigger mystery than fucking Jimmy Hoffa.
From that point on, Doakes wasn't circling a theory anymore. He was convinced, and that conviction drove him straight into Dexter's world. By the time he follows Dexter out to the cabin in the Everglades in Season 2, Episodes 10 and 11, the obsession has consumed him completely. He thinks he's cornering Dexter, finally ready to drag the wolf out of sheep's clothing. But the cruel irony is that Doakes isn't the hunter anymore. He's the prey. By crossing that line, by going all in without backup, he steps right into Dexter's trap. Dexter didn't need to outsmart the system. He just needed to outlast Doakes' obsession. And that's the tragedy. Doakes was right about everything, but being right is what doomed him. His instincts carried him farther than anyone else ever got. But in the end, chasing the truth cost him everything.
Jesus fucking Christ, you're the Bay Harbor Butcher.
Doakes never got the chance to slam evidence down on Lagerta's desk and clear his name. He never got to walk out of that cabin a hero. Instead, he became a loose end, the perfect scapegoat for Dexter's crimes. The man most loyal to the truth ended up branded as the Bay Harbor Butcher. And that's the cruel irony. Doakes wasn't doomed because he was sloppy. He wasn't doomed because he was wrong. He was doomed because he was too right. He couldn't ignore the little things everyone else brushed off. He saw the monster before anyone else, but that very truth isolated him, pushed him outside the system, and left him vulnerable. Doakes was basically the only guy playing on hard mode, while everyone else was stuck in tutorial. He was right from the start, but in Dexter's world, being right is like holding a stick of dynamite. Doesn't matter how careful you are, it's still gonna blow up in your face. So how did Doakes know? He just knew. His instincts told him the truth, and unlike everyone else, he refused to look away. That's why he was the best cop on the show. And that's also why he never stood a chance, because when you're hunting a wolf like Dexter, instincts will get you close, but eventually the wolf bites back.